The quiet room's sun rose like any other day in Los Angeles. Slow and golden, stretching light over glass buildings and empty sidewalks. But inside one small trailer on the edge of a quiet film set, it felt like time stood still. Keanu Reeves sat on the worn couch near the window, hands resting on his knees, his face calm but distant. He wasn't waiting for anything, wasn't hoping either. He had learned long ago not to expect much on this day. It was his birthday, but he didn't tell anyone, not the crew, not the director, not even the assistant who brought him his tea every morning. It wasn't that he was hiding. It was just that he didn't want the spotlight. He never did. His birthday wasn't about balloons or cameras or big gifts. It was about memory, quiet memory. And today the silence weighed heavier than ever. The makeup artist had smiled that morning, brushing powder across his cheek without knowing what day it was. The camera operator had nodded, called him sir, asked about the next scene. Everything was normal. To normal, he looked down at his phone. Blank. No new messages. No missed calls. Not even a notification from a studio assistant pretending to remember, and maybe that was. Keanu reached into his bag and pulled out a small folded paper. Its edges were worn from time, and the ink had faded slightly, but the words were still. There it was, a note his mother had written him when he was 13. The last birthday she had been truly well. She told him in that note, "You are not meant to shine like fireworks, my son. You are meant to glow like embers, quiet, warm, lasting." He folded it again and tucked it into his pocket. He sat back. The trailer was still. No one knocked. No one peeked in. Until soft steps. Then a knock. Gentle, hesitant. He didn't answer. The door opened just slightly. And there she was, Ana de Armas. She stood in the doorway, holding a small paper bag. She didn't say anything right away, didn't smile, didn't offer a loud happy birthday. Instead, she stepped in, closed the door behind her, and walked over to the couch like she had rehearsed it in her mind 100 times. She handed him the bag. He looked up at her, surprised. I remembered, she said quietly. Keanu opened the bag slowly. Inside was a single cupcake, chocolate, his favorite. There was no candle, no decoration, just a small piece of paper tucked under the cupcake with her handwriting. For the ember that keeps others warm. He didn't know what to say. "How did you know?" he asked. She smiled. "You told me once, months ago, during a break in shooting. You said birthdays weren't about noise for you. You said they were about remembering the people who made you who you are. I never forgot that." He looked down again at the bag. His hands held it gently like it was glass. Anna sat beside him, not too close, just enough to be there. "I didn't want the others to know, I thought. Maybe you needed it quiet." He nodded slowly. "You were right." He sat in silence for a moment. The kind of silence that wasn't empty, but full of meaning, of memory, of unspoken things that didn't need to be loud to be true. Keanu's voice was low. "Thank you." She looked at him, serious now. "You've always shown up for others, Keanu, even when no one notices. Today, I just wanted to show up for you." A knock came again at the trailer door, this time louder. The assistant director, calling him to set. "I'll be there in 5, Keanu called back, still looking at the cupcake. Anna stood up and paused at the door. "You don't have to act today, you know." He raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "'Cause today, you're already playing your truest role, just being you." "Right." And then she left, closing the door softly behind her. Keanu leaned back. On the couch, eyes blinking a little longer than usual, the sun outside caught the edge of the small note she left. And in the warmth of that quiet trailer, for the first time all day, he smiled. But that smile didn't come from being celebrated. It came from being remembered, and it meant everything. The missing script began the next morning. The crew arrived earlier than usual. The director had moved the schedule up by 2 hours, trying to take advantage of the soft morning light. Cameras were being set, lights adjusted, and everyone seemed to move a little faster, a little louder.
"Oh, my butt."
Inside the same trailer, Keanu Reeves sat quietly again, his routine, unchanged. He hadn't touched the cupcake from yesterday. It still sat in its paper wrapping, resting beside the folded note. He hadn't thrown it away either. He just kept looking at it now and then, like it reminded him that someone had looked past the screen, past the fame, and seen him the person. He picked up the note again and reread the words. For the ember that keeps others. Warm, simple, honest. True. He folded it carefully and tucked it beside the old letter from his mother. 2 pieces of paper. One from the past, one from the present. Both speaking louder than any birthday card ever could. Just as he zipped his bag shut, there was a tap at the door. This time it wasn't Anna. A young intern peeked in nervously. Mr. Reeves, they're ready for you. Keanu nodded. I'll be right there. He walked out to the set, quiet as ever. The sun was high now, painting everything in warm gold. People passed him, nodding, some smiling, others too busy. And still, no one mentioned his birthday. But that was fine. He'd made peace with it, until something strange happened as he walked past the props table. He noticed his script, his personal copy, had been moved. It was open to scene 37, but page 78 was missing. He froze. He always kept that script with him. He never let anyone touch it, not because of secrecy, but because he marked it in the margins. He wrote little notes for himself. Reminders about tone, emotion, memories he wanted to bring into the performance. In page 78. That was the scene where his character finally breaks. His most emotional scene. Hey, he asked a crew member, did anyone touch my script? The man shook his head. No idea, sir. Maybe it got blown by the wind. But Keanu knew better. He turned around slowly and scanned the area. No one was paying attention. No one seemed suspicious. But then he noticed Anna standing by the side of the set, talking to the costume designer. She held something in her hand, a folded page. When she saw Keanu looking at her, she paused. He walked over slowly, not angry, just curious. You have it? He asked gently. Anna looked a little caught, but not guilty. She opened the page and handed it to him without a word. I was going to return it, she said quietly. I just wanted to understand something. Keanu looked at her. You wrote something in the margin, she explained. Something that stayed in my head all night. He opened the page and saw the line she was talking about. Next to the scene where the character breaks down in silence, Keanu had written, when words stop working, kindness speaks the loudest. Anna looked at him and said, that line. You didn't say it in the scene, but I think it's something you believe. He didn't answer right away. The set noise faded around them, as if the world had taken a step back to let this moment happen. I do, he said finally. I believe it every day. Me too, she whispered. But I forget sometimes, especially here, with all the noise and pretending. Keanu nodded. That's why I write it down. She folded her arms, thoughtful. That's why you were quiet yesterday. He looked away for a second, then back at her. I didn't need noise. I needed real. Anna lowered her voice. And did you get that? Keanu looked down at the cupcake still in her hands. She'd brought it back with her. I did, he said. From you, she smiled gently and held out the cupcake again. Then maybe now's the time. He took it. Finally, and this time he opened the wrapper and took a bite. Chocolate soft. Familiar, but it tasted like more than that. It tasted like care, like intention. Like someone had tried. The crew called again. The camera was ready. Anna stepped back. I'll see you on set, she turned. Keanu said, thank you for taking the page. She turned slightly. Thank you for writing it. And just like that, something unspoken passed between them. It's not romance, not drama. Just two people recognizing the quiet weight of being seen. He walked onto set, feeling lighter. Scene 37 waited for him, and this time, he didn't need to act. He just needed to remember, and that was enough. The photo behind the glassed scene was done. Camera off. Lights dimmed. Crew scattered. The emotional weight of Keanu's performance in scene 37 had lingered long after the final take. No one said much when it ended. A few quiet nods. A silent thumbs up from the director. Even the assistant, usually rushing over with water and a towel, just stood at a distance for a moment before stepping forward. Anna watched from behind the set wall, arms crossed, jaw tight. She had seen something in his performance that didn't come from the script. It came from somewhere else. Something buried, something old. As Keanu walked back to his trailer, still in costume, she followed not closely, not obviously, just enough to feel connected. He didn't look back, didn't speak, but when he opened the trailer door, he left it open behind him, just a crack, a quiet invitation. Anna hesitated, then stepped inside. The light was low, and a soft breeze moved through the half-open window. The small table near the wall was his backpack, and beside it, a glass picture frame. Old, scratched around the corners. She had never seen it before. "You okay?" she asked gently. Keanu didn't answer right away. Sat down on the couch, leaned forward, and stared at the photo inside. The frame? His fingers touched the edge like he was remembering how it felt to hold what had been lost. "I was 7, he said finally. This was taken a week before she got sick. Anna stepped closer. The photo showed a woman with short, dark hair holding a boy close to her chest. They were sitting on a beach towel. The wind was blowing her hair back, but she looked happy, peaceful. The boy, young Keanu, had his head against her shoulder. "Your mother?" Anna asked softly. He nodded. "Yeah. She used to take me to the water when everything else was too loud. Even when we didn't have money, we'd pack bread and apples, sit for hours. She always said the ocean knew how to listen." Anna sat across from him, folding her hands. "She looks kind." "She was more than kind," Keanu said, his voice low. "She was. The reason I survived my own life." He looked up at Anna now. Eyes calm, but heavy. "I keep this photo with me on every shoot, not for comfort, but to remind me not to pretend." She hated pretending. Anna leaned in a little. "That's why your scenes feel different. They don't feel like acting." He shrugged. "They're not. Not always. Sometimes they're just me, remembering how to feel." They sat in silence. Again, like they had the day before. No music, no talking. Just the sound of something old and gentle moving between them. Then Anna asked, "Did she pass on your birthday?" Keanu looked at her, surprised, not offended, just stunned. "How did you—" "I saw it in your eyes yesterday," she said. "The way you looked at the cupcake, like it wasn't just a gift, was a date, a memory." He blinked once. "Slowly, she passed the morning of my 22nd birthday. I didn't even realize what day it was until the sun went down. We'd been in the hospital for so long, and she took her last breath. The nurse looked at the clock and said, 'Happy birthday.'" Anna swallowed hard, her throat tightening. "I'm sorry." "Don't be," he said gently. She always said, "Birthdays weren't about balloons and cake. They were about being alive, remembering where you came from. Who carried you to the start?" Anna looked down, then up again. "Is that why you never talk about your birthday?" "That's why." "Never celebrate it," he said. "Because it's not a celebration. It's a reminder." Then he stood and walked over to the shelf, pulled down a small wooden box and opened it. Inside were a few scattered things, nothing expensive. A charm, a small pen, crumpled movie, ticket, and one folded paper that looked older than all the rest. He handed it to Anna. "What's this?" she asked. "Her handwriting," he said. "Read it." Anna opened it slowly. The ink was fading, but still clear. "Dear Keanu, you are not here to be famous. You are here to be real. If ever the world forgets who you are, remember who you were. With me, love always, Mama." Anna looked up. There were no words in her mouth, only emotion. "You've held on to this all these years?" She asked. "Every day," he said. "Keeps me from floating away." Anna handed it back, careful like it was made of silk. "Thank you for showing me." He took a deep breath. "I didn't plan to. But you. You keep showing up in ways no one else does." She paused, then said softly, "Maybe because you've done that for others your whole life." Keanu gave a small smile. "Maybe." A knock on the door broke the moment. The next scene was ready. Anna stood and walked to the door, pausing before she opened it. "When the day ends," she said, "I want to give you something. It's not big, but something I think your mother would have liked." Keanu tilted his head, curious. "What is it?" She smiled gently. "A story." And with that, she stepped out into the light. Keanu looked back at the photo then, at the box, then at the folded papers in his pocket. The pieces of memory, the fragments of love, and for the first time in years, he wondered if this birthday wasn't about loss after all. Maybe it was about returning. The envelope with no name set was quiet by nightfall. Most of the crew had packed up, equipment rolled away, costume racks zipped shut. Trailers glowed with soft light, one by one fading to dark as actors left for the evening. But Keanu Reeves stayed behind, not because he had work, not because he was tired, because he was waiting for something he didn't fully understand. Ana de Armas hadn't returned to her trailer. No one had seen her since the final scene wrapped. He thought, maybe she had forgotten her promise, or maybe she hadn't meant it. But somehow, a quiet part of him didn't believe that. Not after what she'd said, not after what she'd seen. He sat on the same couch, the photograph still on the table beside the now empty cupcake wrapper. The soft sound of wind moved through the cracked window again, and for a moment he closed his eyes and listened. Not to the wind, but to memory. Then 3 soft knocks, not urgent, not loud. Just like before, Keanu stood and opened the trailer door. There she was, wrapped in a light coat, holding a manila envelope in her hand. No label, no address, no bow, just plain quiet. "You stayed," he said. "I said I would," she replied. He stepped aside. She walked in, careful not to let the cold air linger too long. She glanced at the photo again but didn't speak of it. Instead, she sat in the same chair across from him and placed the envelope on the table. "This," she said, "is from someone you don't know. Or maybe you do. Maybe you knew her for just one day." Keanu blinked slowly. "What do you mean?" Ana looked at him, serious now. Her voice was steady but soft. 2 years ago in New York, you visited a hospital. Not for press, not for photos. Just because someone on your team told you a woman in the cancer ward was a fan." He nodded slowly. "I remember that." "You sat with her for an hour," Ana continued. "She was quiet, tired. You gave her your time, your silence. You didn't post about it. You didn't take a photo. But you made her laugh once. Just once." Keanu leaned forward, his hands resting on his knees. Her name was Lucy. Ana's eyes widened. "You remember? She had a bracelet with shells. Said her daughter made it," he said, his voice. Almost a whisper, Ana reached into her coat pocket and pulled out something small. It was that bracelet. Faded now, the string fraying. But still intact, Keanu took it gently, like it was made of glass. "She passed," Ana said. 2 weeks later. He closed his eyes for a moment, but before she did, Ana continued. "She wrote a letter. She gave it to her daughter and said, 'This is for the quiet man. The one who doesn't need to be seen to be kind.' Her daughter tried to get it to you, but it never made it." Keanu looked down at the envelope on the table. "How did you find it?" he asked. Ana took a breath. Her daughter became a production assistant. Quiet. Kind. Just like her mom. "She gave it to me last week. Said she didn't have the courage to hand it to you herself. But when she saw how I looked at you yesterday, she knew I'd understand." Keanu stared at the envelope, still untouched, still waiting. "She didn't write your name on it," Ana said, "because she said you didn't need one. She said people like you don't need their name to be remembered." His fingers reached for it slowly. He opened the flap. Inside was a handwritten note on pale blue paper. The ink was soft, the handwriting a little shaky. He began to read, "Dear quiet man, you don't know me, and you don't need to. I'm just someone who was given a moment of peace by your presence. Not by your fame, not by your voice, but by your silence. You didn't tell me to fight. You didn't tell me to smile. You just sat there and made me feel like I wasn't alone. And sometimes, that's stronger than hope. Thank you for giving me your time. It was the best gift a stranger ever gave me. I hope one day someone gives it back to you. Love, Lucy." Keanu didn't speak, didn't blink. He just stared at the paper, his eyes shimmering with a quiet ache. Then slowly, he folded the letter back and placed it beside the photograph of his. Mother Anna watched him, not needing to say anything. Finally, Keanu looked up. She gave me peace. I just sat there. She gave me peace. Anna nodded. And now, she gave you her words. Keanu let out a breath. Not heavy, not sad, just full. Thank you for bringing this, he said. Anna stood slowly. I thought maybe, today of all days, was the right time. He looked at the bracelet again, then wrapped it gently around. His wrist, it didn't fit perfectly, but it didn't need to. He smiled quietly. It is the right time. Anna moved to the door. But before leaving, she said one last thing. You gave kindness without knowing what it would return. Now you're seeing what it planted. She stepped outside and closed the door behind her. Keanu looked around the trailer. Hadn't changed. The photo, the papers, the light, everything was the same. But something had shifted inside him. Something quiet, something lasting. The girl with the shell earrings morning after felt different. Keanu. Reeves stepped onto the lot just as the sun slipped above the rooftops. The sky was soft, like it hadn't fully woken up yet. He held his coffee in one hand, the bracelet still, wrapped around his wrist. It didn't match his outfit. Didn't matter. He hadn't taken it off since Anna gave it to him. It made him feel grounded, like something real still pulsed beneath the surface of all the pretending. He greeted the security guard with a warm nod and moved through the early silence of the set. His trailer sat at the end, still quiet, waiting. But before he reached it, he noticed her again, the same girl he'd seen around for weeks, but never really looked at. She was young, early 20s maybe. Always wore jeans too long for her legs and a t-shirt with tiny ink marks. She moved like someone trying not to be noticed. Was always clutching a clipboard and walking with her eyes low. But today was different. She was standing near the props table. Not moving, not checking boxes, not adjusting anything. Just standing. And when Keanu's steps slowed, she looked up. Her eyes met his and didn't drop. Then he saw it. The earrings, small, round, polished shells. Nothing flashy, but familiar. Unmistakable. They matched the bracelet on his wrist. Keanu stepped closer. Slowly. Carefully. You're Lucy's daughter, said. Not as a question, but like something he finally understood. She swallowed hard. Her voice barely above a whisper. Yes, he paused. Then asked, why didn't you tell me yourself? She looked down, hands tight around her clipboard. 'Cause I thought if I spoke, it would feel like I wanted something from you. And now, he asked. Now, she said, raising her eyes, I just want to say thank you. Keanu nodded. I remember her. She had a stillness. Like nothing scared her anymore. The girl her name tag read Emily smiled faintly. She said the same about you. Keanu smiled too. I didn't do anything special. Emily shook her head. You did something people forget to do. Stayed. Everyone else said things. Tried to fix her. You didn't. You just sat and listened. He looked away for a moment, then back. Sometimes listening is the only thing left. Emily reached into her bag and pulled out a folded envelope. This isn't from her. It's from me. I wrote it last night. I don't know if it matters, but I wanted you to have it. He took it gently. You sure? He asked. I've been sure since I saw you wear the bracelet. She said. Keanu opened the letter right there. Dear Keanu, you gave my mother peace in her final days. But more than that, you gave me a reason to believe that quiet people matter. You gave me a reason to be here. I joined this industry not for fame, not for lights. I joined because I saw how kindness off-screen can heal just as much as a scene ever could. I watch you walk through this place with humility. People treat you like you're untouchable. But I've seen the way you hold your coffee with both hands, the way you stand in silence before every scene, and the way you remember the crew by name. I thought you should know. Someone noticed. Thank you for being the person who never needed applause to do the right thing. With respect, Keanu's fingers trembled slightly, not from sadness, but from something deeper recognition. He folded the letter and looked at her. "You wrote that with your mother's heart," he said. Softly. "I wrote it with mine," she answered. He didn't hug her, didn't say 1,000 words. He just placed his hand gently on her shoulder and nodded. "Keep writing," he said. She smiled. "I will." Keanu turned and walked to his trailer. But the feeling stayed with him, that something invisible had finally come full circle. He sat inside for a while, letting the silence wrap around him like a soft blanket. When Anna knocked an hour later, he opened the door with a peaceful smile already on his face. "You okay?" she asked. "I met someone," he said. Anna raised an eyebrow. "Romantic." He shook his head. "Spiritual." She stepped in and closed the door behind her. "What happened?" she asked. He handed her the letter. She read it in silence. When she finished, she looked up, eyes glassy. "You're not just an actor, Keanu. You're a memory," she said. He chuckled softly. "That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me." She pointed to the folded letter. "What are you going to do with it?" "Add it to the box," he said. "The box with your mother's note?" He nodded. "Double quotes. I think she'd want that," Anna whispered. They didn't speak for a long time after that, but just sat together again like before. Two people not needing anything but presence. And somewhere on the other side of the lot, Emily watched. The two of them from a distance. She didn't need to be in the room. She already was. The bench by the ocean's chute wrapped early. The final scene of the week was done. Lights lowered, cameras packed, voices on set softened into laughter and yawns. Actors left in pairs or alone, cars pulling away from the lot like clock hands. Ticking past time, but Keanu didn't leave right away. He stayed back again, his trailer half-lit, the wooden box open on the table beside him. Inside lay the folded letter from his mother, the note from Lucy, the new letter from Emily, and Anna's small card from the cupcake. Each paper had weight. Not heavy like sadness, but heavy like meaning. Anna stepped in without knocking. She didn't need to knock anymore. The silence inside welcomed her like she'd always belonged. "Are you ready?" she asked. Keanu looked up, calm. Almost. He reached for the photograph of his mother, carefully slid it into a protective sleeve, then added it to the box. He closed it gently, fastened the small brass clasp, and stood. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Somewhere I haven't been in years," he said. 2 hours later, the sun hovered just above the horizon. The ocean stretched wide, endless, whispering with waves that curled softly onto the sand. Keanu and Anna walked side by side, down a wooden path that ended at a small public bench. It was nothing fancy, just old wood with names carved in the backrest, forgotten place for those who remembered. He stopped in front of it. "This is where she brought me," he said. "Every year," Anna nodded quietly. "Your mother?" Nodded. "Double quotes, this bench," he continued, "was our birthday table. No gifts, no cake, just bread, apples, and the sound of the sea." He sat down. Anna joined him. He placed the wooden box. In the center of the bench between them, they sat in silence. Waves moved like breath. Seagulls cried in the distance. "Do you want to open it?" she asked softly. Keanu shook his head. "No, it's all ready. Open where it matters." Anna reached into her pocket and pulled out a small white stone, smooth, flat, heart-shaped. She handed it to him. "What's this?" he asked. "Something my grandmother gave me," she said. "She said the ocean keeps memory better than any mind. She always told me if you want someone to be remembered forever, give them back to the waves." Keanu held the stone, looked at it, then at her. "Not double quotes. I think we've both been carrying people," he said. "Maybe it's time we let them walk beside us instead." She smiled. "I think they already are." He stood, walked down to the shoreline, and gently set the stone into the sea. It didn't float. It didn't vanish. It simply joined everything that had ever been remembered. He turned back to Anna. "Thank you," he said. "For what?" she asked. for remembering when no one else did. She stepped beside him. You made it easy. They stood there as the sun dipped low. No spotlight. No camera. No birthday song, just wind, just memory, just a people who understood the quiet things. As the sky turned gold and the ocean turned soft, Keanu reached into his coat pocket and pulled out something new. A folded note. He handed it to Anna. "What's this?" she asked. "I wrote it last night," he said. "For the one who gave me back my day." She opened it slowly. "Dear Anna, some people give gifts with their hands. You gave me one with your heart. It reminded me that birthdays aren't for forgetting who we've lost, but for remembering who we still are. I didn't want to be celebrated, but you made me feel seen, and that was more than enough. Thank you." Keanu folded it, eyes wet. "This is going in my box," she whispered. He smiled. "You have one too?" "I do now," she said. They walked back to the bench. Keanu picked up the wooden box. Anna took one last look at the sea. "You think she'd be proud of you?" she asked. He didn't hesitate, I think. She never stopped. They stood there, in silence once more, but this time, silence didn't ache. It healed. In the weeks that followed, no one on set ever talked about Keanu's birthday. There were no photos, no headlines, no stories in magazines. But one afternoon, the director found a small envelope taped to the crew coffee station. No signature, no logo, just 2 lines written in clean, simple handwriting. "If you see someone standing alone, don't interrupt their silence. Just stand quietly beside them." He smiled, folded it, and tucked it into his wallet and across the lot. Keanu Reeves, wearing the faded shell bracelet on his wrist, sat beside a young assistant. With ocean-colored earrings, they weren't talking. They didn't need to.